Last class we are seeing family. Leave some 5 pages you leave and then we'll start kinship. See, these kins are your relatives. Who are your relatives? You have relatives from father side, you have relatives from mother side, isn't it? And then after an individual is married, they have relatives from spouse side also, isn't it? So you have relatives before marriage. And you have relatives after marriage. See, before marriage, you have relatives from father side, paternal relatives. These are known as agnates. Technical term is agnates. And you have relatives from mother side who are known as maternal relatives, and they are known as uterines. Together they are known as cognates. All these relatives are known as, both father side and mother side relatives are known as consanguinal relatives. Consanguine means blood. So these are all an individual's blood relatives. After marriage, a person has relatives from spouse side. These are known as non-consanguinal, also known as affinal. So kinship system deals with these. Please take down this one. Kins are your relatives. Before marriage, you have relatives from father side and you have relatives from mother side. Relatives from father side are paternal or agnates, and relatives from mother side are maternal relatives or uterines. Both agnates and uterines together are known as cognates. They are nothing but your consanguinal relatives who are your blood relatives. Here, after marriage, an individual has relatives from spouse side who are known as non-consanguinal relatives, and they are affinal relatives. You are able to understand what these are? So you have basically blood relatives and non-blood relatives, consanguinal and affinal relatives. After uterines, cognates. Both agnates and uterines together are known as cognates. Cognates, C-O-G-N-A-T-E-S. Cognates are consanguinal relatives, both from father side as well as mother side, isn't it? So this is blood. These are blood relatives. The types of kins. You can basically classify kins into 3 types. You have primary kins. See, primary kins are members of a nuclear family. So these are your primary kins. So what are the relatives here? If you are taking this family, you have, these are husband, wife, father, mother. These are son, daughter, and he is brother, and she is sister. So total 8 relatives are there, out of which 2 are affinal relatives and 6 are consanguinal relatives. Can you tell me who are affinal relatives? Husband and wife are affinal relatives and rest of them are consanguinal relatives if you are considering this primary. or nuclear family. Then you have secondary kins. Secondary kins are primary kins of primary kins. So these are all primary kins. Their primary kins are known as secondary kins. So how would you draw this? Say for example, this is the family which we have kept as constant. So their primary kins are known as secondary kins. So who are secondary kins? Primary kins of primary kins. Then based on these two, can you guess who are tertiary kins? Primary kins are members of a nuclear family. Their primary kins are secondary kins. Who would be tertiary kins? CSAT question. Primary kins of secondary kins are tertiary kins. So now we have all these green color ones are secondary. So if you draw their primary kins, then they will be tertiary kins. So I will draw few for all. Green color you can draw wherever it is comfortable drawing. I am drawing them, okay, but you can draw for all the, so likewise you can draw for all the green. Here 8 relations are there. Here considering this one, you have 33 relations. Here you have 151 relations. See, actually this concept of primary, secondary and tertiary kins keeps changing. Say for example, as now before your marriage, your primary kins are your siblings and your parents, isn't it? But once you get married, then your primary kins will be your spouse along with your children, isn't it? But we can only define primary, secondary and tertiary kins by keeping a particular family as a constant. So in this case, we have kept this family as a constant and we have described with respect to that one. You get my point? And generally after marriage, like as members of this one will become members of a new family, their intimacy or closeness keeps changing. At present you are close with your siblings and your parents, but after marriage you will be close with spouse and your children. So the degree of closeness keeps increasing. In secondary kins, you can write secondary kins are primary kins of primary kins. Primary kins of primary kins. Here you can write primary kins of secondary kins. Next you write the degree of closeness decreases from primary to secondary to tertiary kins. The degree of closeness decreases from primary to secondary and from secondary to tertiary. This concept also keeps changing. This concept also keeps changing with respect to marriage. Please draw.